Welcome. This is Meet the Candidate, KADY TV. This is your host, Peter Godinez, Ambassador, and I have the lovely opportunity to interview Mina Nichols. So Mina, the world wants to know, what you're all about, but there was a rumor going that you come from some type of a royalty, but I want to clarify that. But, where did you grow up? Tell us about your upbringing and all that environment.
Well, let's see. I grew up in Chatsworth. I was born in Massachusetts. Spent most of my formative years in Chatsworth. Went to Chatsworth High, and then grew up and moved around the country a few times. Lived in Colorado and in Northern California. My dad was sort of a middle-level executive for IBM and a few other companies like RCA and some other places. He did sales training quite a bit and efficiency training. He helped people organize projects. And when I was a teenager, he developed, he was working with a company and developed a spec for a software product to help distribute resources in a large project like human resources and trucks and cement or whatever else you need for the project materials, and to time out when you need each thing. And he wrote this big software, and that's when I was a teenager. I used to write. I helped him with editing the manuals. We would, back in those days, you would put together these loose leaf manuals. And we would do that, and then as I got older, I worked for his company, fielding calls from customers that were having problems, writing down their problems, and taking it to the engineers to help find solutions. And then I wrote the instructions for their installation guides. So that was back in the day before the IBM PC. I guess the IBM PC came out in '82, I think. So it was the late '70s. And my dad's product ran on what they called mini, smaller than mainframes.
Right.
And but there were hundreds of them, and so we would have to go to every manufacturer and get our product to run on theirs, and that's really very, very consumed a lot of resources.
Was that like an elementary school you're doing this, or what grade level? Because you
No,
said
that
pretty
was
tough.
like, I was about 17, 18 at that time.
17, this was actually in Chatsworth?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I don't hear like a marketing or like you said you grew up in Massachusetts?
Oh, yeah.
You lost a little bit of your accent, so.
I think I'm a little bit of a chameleon when it comes to an accent, because I have a kind of tendency to take on the accent of the person I'm talking to. And I find that actually when I was a kid we did quite a bit of traveling. We lived in the Midwest and some other places, and so I feel like I've sort of picked out my favorite way of talking from different.
So you can actually do impressions. Like, so if I ask you to say coffee, you could say coffee.
I can.
Can you do it in New Jersey? Our producer's from New Jersey, so.
Like Wooder, they say Wooder all the time.
Is that the Wooder? So how did all these places you grew up, how did it actually mold you into the incredible person you are now? So.
Well, and then the other piece is that my mother's Japanese.
Okay.
So my dad's family came over on the Mayflower. He, been in the United States since before it was the United States. And then my mom came over when she was in her 20s, after she finished college in Japan. MacArthur was in Japan, and she took English classes to become a translator. And then after that, when they had enough translators, she came to the United States and went to college again and met my dad. So my family's a little bit international in that sense. My eldest sister married a Frenchman. My first husband was Jewish, so I have sort of I feel like I have a good sort of understanding of a lot of cultures.
Now that's pretty incredible. That's pretty incredible. And then, so you took traits from both your parents, being obviously you had your own genetic, makeup, but both your mom and dad actually influence who you are?
Well, Absolutely, I think that's sort of true of everyone. I mean,
Mhm.
that's got to be the case. But my dad was more visible, and I was kind of a daddy's girl. So I did yard work with him, and we, you know, dug up things and I did working on the car with him and things. I was sort of uh, um, I have two sisters, so my two sisters were the girly sisters, and I was the
So there's an
daddy's
older
girl.
brother, you,
Two sisters, there's three girls.
okay, three girls,
Two
and
older
where do
sisters.
you actually fit in?
I'm the youngest.
The youngest, like the youngest won't usually be the greatest, I think that's how it goes.
Well,
So, being growing up the youngest, I'm sure that really kind of, you probably held your own pretty well there. Is that something you learned from being in the mix of both men and women?
no, it was just girls, and
Okay.
my sisters are wonderful people. We didn't fight as kids. I didn't learn about scrapping it up until I became an adult and realized that out in the real world, people come in all forms, and some of them are not so nice, and you have to deal with it. The way I was raised, we were all expected to think of each other and to always consider what any action we take means to the rest, whoever else is around. And of course, over time, you have to get better at that.
Of course you
If
do.
I think back, I can think of lots of times when I had to learn that lesson again. But
When you think back, who were the people that you gravitated to in regards to profiles? Were you somebody who just hung around anybody, or who did you find yourself hanging around during those time frames?
oh, well, I think I'm a person who I gravitate to people I think I can learn from. Um, and sometimes the lessons were hard. But I do, I'm a kind of person, I don't like to, sort of sit around and wait for things to happen. I want to go out there and find out, sort of get out in the world and participate. Um, well, let's see. Now you're asking about who were my
Who was your friends?
influences.
And then, it's just like your family had a big influence, I can tell that. But after you finished Chatsworth High School, did you go on to do a job or more formal training? What was your next step after the high school
Oh,
experience?
I went to college.
Okay.
I got married early.
Okay.
Went to college, and unfortunately, I got pregnant before I finished college, and it became more important to start work. And my husband got a chance to finish college, but I went to work for my dad and did more technical writing, and then a friend of mine worked for Ashton Tate and told me what a great company that was, and it was a really great place to work, and I went there. And at Ashton Tate, I did more problem solving. We were taking questions from customers that were trying to use their software, and I did more technical writing because, again, my best skill is I'm good at writing things down accurately and making sure I get all of the information you need. And so I was the person whose job was to find out what all the customers, we had 70 people taking calls from customers that were having problems, and what we would do is keep a list of every kind of problem they have, and then I was the person whose job it was to go to the development people and say, okay, here's our list of all the problems that customers are having, and this is our priority based on things like, how bad a problem it was, whether there's a workaround, whether everybody's having this problem or if it's just certain things. So that, again, developed my writing. It developed my inclination to try to report things as accurately as I can, because you can't solve the problem if you're not told all the details. And sometimes you need details that you never thought had anything to do with the problem, but they can be where the answer is found. So from Ashton Tate, I went on to Ashton Tate got bought by Moreland, and things got crazy. They wanted everyone to move up north, so and I also at Ashton Tate, I learned that marketing, at least at Ashton Tate, they had all the control. So I decided that just being technical information wasn't enough. So I started branching out. I went to CompUSA, worked for CompUSA for a while, and then actually I got my dream job, the best job ever.
What was that?
That was when I worked for Reveal. They were a sister company to Packard Bell, and they made various electronic gadgets for computers, for PC computers, for the consumer market. And my job was, people would send us, companies from all over the world would send us all kinds of little gadgets, and my job was to test them and to write a little report about how marketable I thought it was or what it would take to market as a consumer product. So I mean, every week we would get these shipments of little gadgets, a mouse, a radio-controlled mouse you could do from anywhere. You could mouse from across the room, this little radio-controlled mouse, and all kinds of fun gadgets.
Yeah.
And one of the projects I worked on there was we were making a piano, a toy piano that you could put to your computer and learn to play piano from. So I got to work with there were high-powered musicians and people from the recording industry, and we had all of these companies sending us their pianos to use, their electronic keyboards for us to test and to see which one we're going to use as in our package. So it was a very nice job. But they unfortunately made a bad contract when it came to hard drives. They were selling all kinds of products, and this was when hard drive prices were plummeting, and the capacities were skyrocketing, and they got overextended in hard drives, and they were in a contract where they were buying them for more than they could sell them for.
Right.
Oops.
That
Pardon
always
me.
happens. This is live, right? Reality TV.
Sorry about
no,
that.
what is this? Probably is it Michelle Obama? No, I'm just kidding.
It's my oldest sister.
Do you, of all those experiences, I would love to find out who were some of the, I'll say, leadership managers, supervisors who you really, you learned from.
Oh, yeah.
That you became a leader yourself, Mina.
It's hard to admit now, but it was all the toughest managers.
The ones
that just,
we can't use
dang.
such words and descriptions on air, but go ahead.
Those were the ones I had some really good managers. But no, it wasn't just tough because I think back, there's one manager I had I used to work for Full Spectrum Lending, the mortgage people, the subprime part of Countrywide. I wrote bulletins for them, and I had a great manager. Anytime I had a bunch of great managers there, but one in particular that I always think about, whenever I would come to him with a problem, he'd sit, listen to the whole thing, and then he'd say, "What do you think we should do about it?" And then he'd say, "Go do that."
So he just empowered you then.
It was such a great, it worked for everything. It didn't matter what the problem was.
He just put it, right?
Yeah.
He just put it back on you because he knew you had the ability.
Yeah.
So you learned that particular style through it.
Yeah.
Or some things that you learned, like, I don't want to be that kind of leader.
Oh, well, yeah,
Okay,
of course.
if that's rated R, we won't go into.
Oh, well, it's not rated R. I mean, of course, like you were saying earlier, everybody has their skills and they're not so good at that kind of things. And you need sort of a nice balance, right? But of course, the things I don't like in a manager is anyone who, A, doesn't know what's going on, or B, is too rigid to accept new information. And then a lot of times what you see is somebody who doesn't care, and they're going to pass down, they have some sort of agenda or some sort of reality that they're pretending is the case, and they're going to act like that no matter what information they get, no matter what, right? Those are the ones you have to look out for.
Now, as you live your life, Mina, what is it you hope people see in some of the ways you live your life? What are some of the things that you're hoping, even in this portion of the video?
Well, I think, I guess one thing I really hope, in a public sense, that people will see is that you don't win arguments by being mean. That doesn't work. It doesn't have any bearing. So you know, for example, if people who know me know that a lot of what I do is I comment in the Ventura County Star quite a bit. I try to, you know, there's so many people saying crazy things, and I try to just provide the facts. You know, when they'll say, I don't know why, you know, I don't know why we don't just do this. Well, because it's illegal. You can't do that. You could try, but the courts will stop you, and it won't work, so don't do that. So what I think, one thing I hope people will realize is that meanness doesn't help you solve problems.
Wow.
You have to be able to listen to people, and even if they're angry, and even if they're saying nasty things, just get to, what are they actually trying to get at? What is it that they really want? The anger is just sort of a symptom of that frustration of not getting what you want. Let's talk about what you really want, and find a way to get there. That's what I think is.
I think I see that very
I
well.
hope I show.
I would agree that comes out. In fact, I don't know why I asked the question. I probably should answer it for you. No, that's, you know, that's interesting. And just in some of your experiences, you just mentioned the word empowerment. And you think of an experience where you empowered somebody in your environment that just went viral.
I'm sorry for kicking this. Empowering someone in your environment that goes viral. Wow.
Because that's what you actually happened to you.
Well, yeah, I guess I kind of feel like that is sort of something we need to do every day with everything we do. Oh, let me see if I can come up with a good example. I can't really.
Just even with your kids, your friends, you know, again, it doesn't have to
Yeah.
be. I probably shouldn't use
Okay,
the viral.
well, my mind is circling around the fact that I have an autistic 12-year-old daughter who pretty much cannot speak for herself. She does talk, but she speaks in poetry, and it's very difficult for people to understand. And so we've been practicing things like simply saying things like, leave me alone, or I don't want to, and that's, I suppose that's empowering. I think the lesson it means to me, for me, is I think, you know, when you have kids, there's some goal in your mind. You know, you're going to produce a great writer, a great thinker, a parent who's going to raise grandkids for you. You're going to produce you know, a loving child who will take care of you in your old age. But Kimiko's not going to be able to do any of that for me. She's just a being who has needs that she can't meet by herself. And so for 12 years I've been practicing, learning to hear someone who can't speak for themselves, or who can only speak through the, you know, where her eyes are darting, or whether her, you know, she gets happy or sad when I suggest something, you know. So and I think that's one of the things you need that you want from a representative in government, is somebody who is not just going to react to the people who can help them, and who can, you know, do me a favor in the future or something like that. I want to be there for the people who can't speak up, who need someone who's going to stand up for the powerless, and think about what they need, and treat that as valuable and important.
Wow. You know, thank you so much for sharing that absolutely precious story. And I'm glad I asked the question. You know, so I want to ask questions. I know people are going to ask it. So how is it you stay in such great shape? I'm looking for kind of fitness, nutrition reasons, you know.
I think the most important thing is I don't drink soda.
Okay.
I think that among the many, many wonderful things my dad did for me, he didn't let us drink soda, and I don't ever drink soda. I don't think of it as food. If I'm really thirsty and there's nothing to drink but soda, I'll just stay thirsty until I find something else. That's the main thing. And then the other thing is I feel I get all my exercise from clumsiness. Linking I have this good way of linking my sleeve on when I'm going to the sink. Somehow I wake up.
So that's kind of a weight training program then, right? We can do a video series called The Workout with Mina. through clumsiness. I don't know, we need to change that. So kind of just to summarize, I would love to ask you a question. I'm seeing the future, and I'm seeing a book with your face on it. And what is the book actually called in the subtitle?
Oh,
You use like the Avita, like the Mina, but give it a shot. What does that book actually say, and who is it written for?
Well, I have a couple favorite taglines.
Go for it.
When Teresa mentioned something, I can't remember. Oh, change, how things are always changing. And one of my favorite taglines is, change is inevitable except from a vending machine. That's a good
I love
one.
it. Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. You know, I think you've done a great job here today. I think I actually captured the true Mina, and I'm sure lots of people are just going to love this. So I want to just take this time. It's incredible meeting you, and I want to just give you an opportunity to say what you're going to be running for in office
Right.
for the audience.
Okay.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, well, thanks, Peter. Thanks for having me, too. My name's Mina Nichols. I'm running for County Clerk and Recorder, Ventura County Clerk and Recorder, 2014. And I'm hoping, Peter, maybe you'll give me a chance to have another interview where we actually talk about issues.
Okay, all right. I'll get my tissues and give you the issues, okay?
Okay.
So thank you very much,
All right,
Mina.
thank you.